Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the United Kingdom News and Culture, episode 60. It's an epic episode. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and since we were with you last, I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Mr. Ian Pelham Turner in person, so I'm excited to bring him out, and I also want to share this special card that I received. Happy 60th birthday from Helena and Ian. Thank you so much for being here. Let's welcome them to the show. Hello, Helena. Nice to see you.
Hi, Dr. J. Lovely to see you.
You too.
And happy 60th almost.
Thank you. Also, DIANN FLOYD BOEHM, good to have you here with us.
Thank you. And I'm in Virginia now.
Fantastic. You get around, DIANN. And Mr. Ian Pelham Turner, how are you?
I am so well. Well, I was, as I was explaining.
Yes.
Before I came on. I'm better now. I just had a slight shock, but I have to say, first of all, it was a greatest pleasure meeting you over the weekend. We had a lot of fun as well, and a lot of serious talks at the same time. And you know what? You are one of life's wonderful, beautiful people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I feel the same about you. I walked into the room and he was sitting at the table for the Women on the Move conference. And it was kind of like just amazing because you see someone on a screen and then there they are in person. And it was an amazing moment. So thank you.
Did you feel you were expecting something different in each other? I'm just being curious now.
You know, I asked him that, and basically I feel like, and I said this, I feel like he looks younger in person and he's more handsome in person.
You did say that.
Yeah, I did say that.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we're flirting.
I said truthfully, you know, to all the ladies out there.
Oh, Dr. J's fluttering her eyelashes.
And these are my own today, by the way.
Yeah.
That's
by the
hysterical.
way, we're also going to be joined by Simon. He wasn't aware of the time change, so he's going to be joining us momentarily. Yeah,
Great.
sure. So I've got everybody kind of mixed up today. I like it. It's kind of like Hollywood Squares. So since we saw each other last, obviously Ian and I connected. What else has been going on over there in the UK? Helena.
So much has been going on. Well, today we have the budget. So that's happening. So we'll start on that. I mean, it's been a funny old time, and it seems like a good budget if it's in place. The amazing things for me is that they have pledged to do something about the potholes that we have here in the UK in the roads, which are humongous. And if they don't do anything with them soon, we're just going to fall into them. So I'm pleased about that. But they are trying to get the over 50s back to work. I think after the COVID, lots of people didn't go back to work because people decided, do you know what? It's much nicer to be relaxing, be with the family, on the golf course, you name it. So now trying to get people back into work, into tech, and I think building work. I mean, I'm not too sure how building work relates to over 50s, but anyway, also different things with childcare. Now there's going to be money for parents for babies sort of 1 to 2 years, which I think it was before sort of 3 to 4 years. So that's good. Also getting mothers back to work. So trying to reduce inflation and fingers crossed. So that's that, and I'm sure Ian can give some more tips on that. But I think there's been lots of royal things happening. We've had the Commonwealth Day service at Westminster, led by King Charles and obviously Queen Camilla. So that's good fun. So all the royals were out in force, and they were in really good spirits. People were chatting and laughing. Charles gave an amazing speech, and he was remembering his late mother, the late Queen Elizabeth II. Everyone was there, all suited and booted, and it was the most ferocious windy day a few days ago. And Kate was there holding onto her hat, as was Camilla. And they were there. I know that Queen Camilla was wearing the Queen's favourite brooch, so that's pretty to see. I love these little touches. And Kate was wearing, I think, the late Diana's earrings, very pretty. And it's a day to sort of celebrate diversities. It's like 54 nations that come together. So you have people from different countries coming over and celebrating the diversities from all these nations. Small things like seeing King Charles giving the hongi, the Maori greeting, which is rubbing of noses and foreheads, etc. So I always think it's fun to see these things. And he was issuing, a call to the whole family of nations, urging everyone to strive together for the sort of global good. So that was a fun day. I'd normally be photographing, in fact, but we were shooting, as in filming, so that didn't happen. But also there's the charter that's worked towards, and yeah, I think that's probably fun. I think it was lovely to see Prince Edward. Now they're the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. So he's been finally given the name that we've been waiting for, waiting to hear. And they gave, it was handed over by King Charles on Edward's birthday. So that was fun. And it was lovely to see Sophie as well, actually at Commonwealth Day, sort of giving a shoulder bump to Charles. I think to show the fun and the unit family, being happy, I think is a refreshing change. So that's great. And I think both the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh were in Edinburgh. I don't know whether Simon saw them, possibly did. And it was to mark 1 year since refugees, since Edinburgh welcomed the Ukrainian refugees in. And he gave a lovely speech, and I think they were quite overwhelmed to be welcomed hugely. So that's great. And there's so much more, but did anyone see this coronation at all? Not the coronation, what am I talking about? There's my brain thinking about the coronation. I'm thinking about all the historical bits and pieces, but the Commonwealth Day, did anyone see? I don't know what they show in the States.
I did not see it.
You gave me a shock then for a minute, Helena, because
you thought you'd missed it.
I fell asleep this morning, and I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't missed the coronation as well. I mean, what was it? I slept for 140 days. I think, looking at what's happened today, it's an important day in British politics. The reality is that we've had our budget today. It must have been so important to me that within about 5 seconds of Rishi Sunak getting to his feet, I must have dropped off to sleep. Just as Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor, was finishing his speech, I woke up again. So I've no idea what the only thing I've heard is that obviously there's more money for child support, child minders, getting people back into work. But it's the same old story, I think, again as well, that, they're worried about how to boost the British economy. And obviously more people need to work in order to boost the economy. So, I think the reality at the moment is it's a wait and see with all of this. Will it work or not? And I think by the sounds of it, they're using a carrot and stick approach to this to try and get more people back into work again.
Mm-hmm. By the way, welcome Simon MacDonald. Nice to have you with us today.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I brought a note.
I have a question for you. It's a silly one, but for us Americans, could you explain what Commonwealth Day is all about besides the budget? Or is it just the budget?
Well,
Yeah.
the budget today is, it sounded very good on the face of it, but I think when you actually analyze it, there's really not much change at all. So that's my view of it. But yeah, I go along with what you're saying there, Ian, about falling asleep. And yeah, I think when Jeremy Hunt got on his feet, it would knock anybody off to sleep anyway. But it livened up a bit when it came to the opposition's response to it. It always does. But basically, it's just mudslinging from one side of the house to the other. So that's why, you know, in the House of Parliament, if you see in the House of Commons, there's 2 red lines go down the entire length of the floor to separate the 2 parties across the like corridor within the room. And those lines were put there at a length of 2 swords length, so that you know, they can't actually attack each other with swords without crossing the red line, basically. Piece of useless information for today.
Interesting.
Thank you, Simon. You know, a question that comes. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Ian.
Sorry, I was just going to say, just to answer Diane's question, but basically that the Commonwealth was really brought about really because the members of the Commonwealth were former dominions of the old British Empire. And when that went into decline, then they formed the Commonwealth instead, the Commonwealth of Nations. And the idea behind it is that the head of the royal family, i.e. King Charles now, is now head of the Commonwealth at the same time. And this was already decided by the Queen when she was still alive 2 or 3 years ago at a Commonwealth conference when all the prime ministers of the Commonwealth attended. And then she announced that her wish was that Charles, now King Charles, became the head of the Commonwealth on her demise. And so really it's a means of these countries, and there's more countries joining. I was having a debate whilst I was in America about, you know, is the royal family in decline? And there were some opinions that it was. But the reality at the same time is that more countries are wishing to join the Commonwealth as well, because it has a community activity where people can actually communicate with each other, but it has a business activity as well, where business can be struck between different Commonwealth countries. And it really is a broad spread of countries, places like Canada and Australia, New Zealand, places in Africa, India, and so forth. So it is really, it's the formation of an organization after the British Empire was really disbanded.
Yeah, I think we've lost sight of the wealth part of Commonwealth these days, though. I mean, particularly looking at today's budget.
It's actually 54 nations at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Diane, I think Diane's
54 nations.
Diane's speechless.
Oh, sorry, I'm speechless. 54 nations, that's amazing. And thank you, Ian, for explaining. 54 nations.
I have a question, which is just a general question. So when people are giving speeches like this, it reminds me when I was in corporate and the chief financial officer gets up and everyone's like, oh, glazed over, dozing. How can information like that be presented in a way to actually catch our attention?
Well, somebody's got to remain awake to actually sort of make notes of what it says. I think that's what it boils down to. And, you know, there's usually the guy that's sitting over the shoulders of everybody else in the meeting and sort of doodling away. I often wonder, are they, you know, playing games on their laptop, or are they actually taking the notes and they've just got a tape recorder running somewhere else? But somebody's got to stay awake. They get paid to stay awake.
Yeah, I guess we have to go to toothpicks in the eyes. I don't know.
Just a quick story. A few years ago, I was asked to give a lecture to a royal organisation, and they invited me down to Kent, which is in southern England, to give this lecture. And they said beforehand, come and have lunch with us as well. And so I had lunch with them, and they consumed quite a bit of alcohol, these people, and they were in their 80s and 90s, most of them. And then we crossed the street to a local hall where the lecture was going to be given, and I was introduced again to the throng. And I started my talk, and within 5 minutes, all 40 people had fallen asleep. So I thought, what do I do? Because it was a very hot place in the hall as well. So they had all fallen off to sleep. So I thought, what do I do? Fortunately, at the end of the hall was a clock mounted on a wall. So I thought, well, I'll give myself 25 minutes. So I duly gave myself 25 minutes, and then I stood up and clapped. And I said, thank you so much for listening to me. They all woke up with a start and clapped to me and said, well, we must have you back.
As soon as you mentioned there was food and alcohol involved, I knew everyone's going to be passed out.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought you were going to say that you joined them and fell asleep.
Yeah. Mid-sentence.
Yeah. Oh, funny.
Oh, I did today. I'm still, I'm reasonably okay, but as I said, I don't think I've got jet lag, but I just it's been tiring coming back, and then I've had a nasty surprise a few minutes ago, which I've now sorted out as well. But I think all in all, to give you another more glib answer to the question, the thing I always do, when I'm talking to anybody at all. I think I told JACALYN, I go onto the podium and I've got really no thought in my head what I'm going to say, but what's new. And I look around the room and I try to make a joke to start off with that make people laugh. If you can make them laugh at the very, very start with a one-liner. And sometimes, it takes me a few seconds to be helped up on stage because of steps. And so I normally use the one-liner. It's going to take me more time to get to the podium than it is for me to deliver the speech. Ho, ho, ho. So something like that. something like that seems to break the ice.
It's true. I witnessed Ian being called to the stage, and he had nothing planned. He just got up there and he just winged it, which was really impressive.
Was it relevant? Was it relevant?
It was totally off. No, it was totally off topic. No, I'm kidding. No, it was. It was.
I bet it was.
I actually filmed it, so it was.
I had an experience a few years ago of having to seriously wing it. I was at a big European transnational conference in Lerida in Spain. And this was one of these sort of multilingual things when it was in a theatre, and in the boxes above the theatre, they had these different translators going on, and everybody had their earpiece in, getting what was being said in their language. Now, I was a keynote speaker at this, and I'd spent over a month preparing what I was going to talk about, and it was based on marketing, basically. So I had my speech already, and I got up the podium. I looked at my notes, and then I had another set of notes with me as well, because what had happened was that when I got to the conference, there was an exhibition there, and with the talk being based on marketing, I was looking at how people were presenting themselves on their stands and how they were marketing the product. And I thought, these guys have just got an awful lot to learn. So I stood up on the podium, and I had my sheets neatly in front of me like this, and I said, I've spent a lot of time preparing this. I said, but when I got here, I realized that marketing is got to be dealt with imminently. So, and I ripped up the notes of the speech, threw them over my shoulder, and that, of course, woke everybody up. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw on one of the boxes up in the gallery there was a translator who was doing all the hand gesticulations that I was as well, which so it made me inwardly giggle. But anyway, when I looked back down again, I'd ripped up the wrong notes. So I had 35 minutes of a speech to deliver, and I had to wing it the whole way through. They did ask me back, amazingly. I think the second time was to return the cutlery or something like that, but and then again to apologize. But it was, yeah, these moments do spring up in you rather unexpectedly and sort of catch you in a tight corner. I can tell you this, nobody fell asleep in the audience after that. They all stayed wide awake.
Wow, that's a great story. Thanks for sharing that.
Wonderful story.
I just have a quick one to share, then maybe Diane, and we'll go back to Helena. So I was giving a presentation for a $5 million deal to a major U.S. corporation that we've been working with for a long time. We have a number of people in the project. So I was there with my boss, standing up, ready to present. We were in the boardroom, and everyone was on their phone. Everyone across from me, like the whole big table, and they were all on their phone, and the decision maker was in front of me. So I just stood there and did absolutely nothing. And it was so awkward. I was literally sweating. So it was like dripping down my back because my boss was looking at me and some other people started looking at me. So finally the decision maker looks up and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm waiting for you to show me the respect I deserve by putting your phone away and paying attention." And my heart was going, bong, 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 bong. I said, we have the solution for you. We've worked, for a long time to present it. And I want to make sure that you don't miss any of it. So I got their attention. We didn't get the deal. So that was, I don't know if it was related to that or not, but anyway. Diane, anything you want to share about presenting? And then we'll go back to the news.
Well, I had to laugh because, Ian, you made me think of a long time ago when computers were basically brand new. And I had been one of the many teachers to embrace technology in the classroom. Well, Macintoshes were brand new, and most teachers hadn't used them yet. And I had one teacher of the year for the state of Texas. And so I was to give this speech. And so like you, Ian, I like to give like a little funny. And so I thought, what is I'm going to say? And so I walked out there, and at this computer conference, Texas brings a lot of people. So there was anywhere between 500 to 900 people. And that doesn't bother me. I love being in front of people. It gives me energy. But I thought, how am I going to get their attention? So I thought, oh, I know. And so I looked out at everyone and I said, why every single one of you, including you men, why we need a Macintosh in every classroom? Well, ladies, it has nothing to do with technology and education at the moment. It has to do with it's the best birth control you're going to have for a long time because you can't keep your hands off of it.
Diane,
everybody roared.
Wow, Diane, that surprised me from you, though. I have to say, wow.
I know, a little bit of my brothers came out in me.
That has to get
I heard from Apple after that. They were very happy.
That's a good one, though. I love it.
Thanks. Now I'm turning red.
I love sharing these stories.
That's so good.
Helena, what about you? Any stories about presenting, or you want to go right to the news?
I don't have any funnies, I have to say. So I'll go back to the news. In fact, something you said, Dr. Jo, it made me think of the late Queen Elizabeth II, because this was to do with phones and iPads, etc. She was making comments that in the later years, it wasn't like the good old days, because when she would go somewhere or be making a speech or meeting the people, which was not so many times, obviously later on in her life, but she used to feel really upset about everyone just holding up their phones and their iPads. So when she used to come, looking out at a sea of iPads and iPhones, it must be horrible and actually quite intimidating in a funny way, because you just don't know, you sort of feel, I don't know, it's a horrible energy. So I felt sad about that. Just something that I just remembered. But obviously we're leading up to the coronation, May the 6th. And me personally, I love all the historical intricacies. And I like learning different things. It's amazing how every day you can learn something new. At the moment at Buckingham Palace, they've recreated part of the Abbey, actually there in the ballroom, and it's just recently been built, obviously to practice all the ceremonial activities, which I thought was quite fun. I'm not sure what it looks like or how much. I mean, it must be just a certain section, obviously, that they built, but I think that's really good fun. And something else as well that I didn't know about, that there's the Coronation Claims Office. And if you have an ancestor that's previously been involved with past coronations, you can contact them and ask to do a similar thing in this coming coronation. Which I thought was really great. And there is a lady called Jessica Fells who looked into all her genealogy, and she realised that she was related to the great aunt of the herb stewer. So that's someone that dishes out the herbs, nice, fragrantly smelling herbs, at George IV's coronation in 1821. So she's applied to them for this coronation. And I think, I don't know whether she's quite got it yet, but she's so excited because she's going to be there sort of dishing out the herbs, smiling away. And she feels like she's won something amazing already. But how lovely, because so many people, if you look through all of our, back through our past, are actually related to a royal family. Obviously, during that period, sort of in the 1800s, the reason why they had the herb stew was because people were a bit kinky. I'm trying to say that politely. So obviously it was a little bit more smelly at those times. So now it would just be adding a little bit of historical value. But how great! We should all be looking at anyone looked into that, done their genealogy and gone back and found that they're related to, I don't know, royalty. Yeah.
I don't know if I should be proud of it or not. You British people have to share with me. So one of my great-great-grandfathers was King William Rufus, who, when you go to the park, there was a stone, and actually it was my great-great-grandfather, I'm going to re-say it, Terrell, who accidentally shot the arrow that killed King William Rufus, his cousin. So that's the actual story. And then Sir James Terrell played a role in the Prince and the Tower. So anyway, I'm not too sure people love the Terrells, but there you go.
Lovely.
So, but I'm proud of my past.
I knew you had royal blood in you, Diane.
Actually, there was a time when I was younger, and this has to do with y'all, beautiful British people, that we were going to get the first magazine that was going to show Prince Charles, King Charles now. And all of us girls were so excited because we had never seen a prince before. And we got the magazine. It was like one of the very first teen magazines. So I'm like really dating myself. But we all could not wait. And then there was Prince Charles, and he was in a swimsuit. And we all just melted.
Well, the old swimsuit shot.
We should try to dig that up. He's a very handsome man.
I'm not related to royalty as far as I'm aware, but I've come close because a great, etc. grandfather of mine was Lord Robert Clive.
That used to be sort of something.
What?
There's an echo in here.
Anyway, Lord Clive, he was Viceroy of India. And I've got here this plate, which is
beautiful,
gilded in 24-karat gold, was a gift to him by the king, which was George III at the time. So if anybody from Buckingham Palace is watching just now and they've suddenly discovered they're missing a plate, sorry, I've got it, folks.
Would you like my address to send it to me?
Wow.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah. So that's a treasured family heirloom, that one. So,
yes. I bet that's worth something, Simon.
Definitely.
That is so cool.
Possibly it bumps my insurance up in the house.
Hope you have a security system. Okay. Ian, I think you were going to say something.
No, I've lost my train of thought now with Simon coming in. I think the reality with all these different things, the history, I think, is very, very important nowadays as well, and sort of going back, my great-great-grandfather, Pelham Turner, owned Knightsbridge. My mother could trace her history right back to Bonnie Prince Charlie, direct descendant of Bonnie Prince Charlie. So I think it's always interesting, isn't it, to actually sort of discover previous lives and what had happened to them as well. And I've always promised myself, I think, one day to actually do a genealogy discovery of how far I go back and what happened to my ancestors. And there's a very good TV program that does that, to celebrities, not to people like myself, but to celebrities, really going all the way back to sometimes 15th, 16th century.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when your friend is called up to give a speech and is introduced under a different name than you know the person. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Ian?
I do, because but basically, in fact, it caused a bit of a panic with you, JACALYN, didn't it, the other day?
Yes, it did. I was like, oh my gosh, they messed up his name.
So basically, on my passport, it's Ian Roderick Turner. But there were so many Ian Turners who weren't doing such savory things as myself as journalists and photographers. It was such a strange name, but there's lots of Ian Turners that when I started working as a broadcaster, I thought that I could be mistaken for someone who'd done some pretty bad things in their lives as well. And so I then chose as my professional broadcaster name Pelham Turner, because Pelham Turner was my great-great-grandfather's name. And my father would always talk about the days when, as a boy chorister in the I suppose early 20s, he would have to go and run the street gangs of Fulham and Chelsea in London to go and visit his great-great-grandfather in Knightsbridge. And he would always say that he would, every Sunday afternoon, we had to go and see him and then knock on this huge door with this huge door knocker in Knightsbridge itself, and to talk to his great-great-grandfather. And the reason why my father was living in Fulham in not poverty, but not in the best surroundings, was that my great-great-grandfather, his son, married beneath him and was disinherited. So I've always said that Pelham Turner could be my way of regaining the family fortune.
I love it.
Thanks for explaining that. You can imagine I'm sitting there filming and they're like, and let's welcome Ian Roderick Turner. I'm like, what? And then she said his name again later. I'm like, oh, one time is okay. Twice is a crime. So I asked him about it later because I didn't even know if he realized that they introduced him by that name. And he's like, oh yeah, that's my name. I'm like, what? That's right. Very stressful for me.
We share middle names. Maybe don't share the smoked salmon, but we share middle names.
Oh, there we go. We've learned something today. Goodness me. All I know about.
Sorry, I was just thinking that isn't Roderick? Isn't it a Gallic name, Roderick, and a chieftain name? I don't know, or have I got the wrong connotation, Simon?
Well, Somerled was the ancient chieftain names of the MacDonalds, and the MacDonalds were actually the royalty of Scotland, apparently, at some stage. There's an awful lot of us about, But it's all split into different seps. So there's McDonald's of Clanranald, there's McDonald's of the Isles, McDonald's of Glencoe, McDonald's of KERBECK, and so on and so on and so on. So there's quite a few of us about. I think most of us are overseas now, probably evading the tax man or something like that. But yeah, Roderick, no, I'd need to check that one out and look into that, the meaning of Roderick, and if there is a Celtic connection specifically to that. But I know the spelling of my surname, with being M-A-C and a small d, as opposed to M-C or M-A-C and a capital D, as so many people insist on spelling my name. But mine is M-A-C and a small d. And so that apparently denotes that direct line to the clan chief. And the MC, as you see in so many Scottish names, MacLeods, MacDonalds, McCallums, if it's MC, apparently that dates back to the days of the Highland clearances, when there was huge clearances on the land. People were shipped off to very largely to America, and some out to Australia, New Zealand, and so on as well. And the ship's manifest had to record who all was on board, and there wasn't an awful lot of room to put it, so they abbreviated MAC to MC. So another useless piece of information for today.
Oh, that's interesting. Where do you get this type of news? Come on, it's amazing.
I just pick it up as I go along. It shows I've probably got nothing better to do with my time. But I think probably because I've got a few years under my belt, these things do tend to sort of come along and stick. Apart from that, my son is quite a historian, in particular with Scottish culture and so on. So I should know about the Roderick bit. So I think I must check that one out with him and try and come back with an answer.
Sounds
That'd
good.
be great.
Yeah, we just shuffled our pictures around again. I love it.
Yeah.
Helena, what can you share with us before we close out our show? It's almost over. It's crazy.
Is it really? I was
Yes.
amazed. My goodness, I can't believe it. Just quickly for me, just to do with my background, we used to have a castle on my mother's side, and I don't know which relative it was, years and years ago, lost it in a card game, much to my upset, and I really do need to look into it. But anyway, moving on. It's Cheltenham Races, which is a really prestigious, fun time here in Cheltenham. So we've got lots of races going on, horse races, and everyone gets done up to the 9s and attends the races. Although they have actually changed the rulings with the actual jockey club, wanting people to feel comfortable now. So they've relaxed the dress code, which I'm quite pleased about, because I'm never too sure about the outfits that people turn up in. So that's fun. And there's a horse that's done incredibly well. We're on the second day, and it's Constitutional Hill that seems to have, been brilliant and won races, and lots of people have won a fortune. In fact, Cheltenham Races brings in something like 300 million to our economy over a few days. So it's amazing. And just to tie in with that, Canada has gifted King Charles a horse, a 7-year-old horse called Noble. And this is something of it's the Canada Mounted Police have done this over the years with Queen Elizabeth. And I think something like 7 or 8 horses have been gifted. I think it's quite funny in one sense, because I know that King Charles has given away a lot of the late Queen Elizabeth's horses. He's not really a horsey kind of guy. He's a bit more into flowers and things like that. But and one little tiny bit of information is one of the horses that were given in 1969 to Queen Elizabeth was a horse called Burmese, and she in fact rode Burmese for 18 years at Trooping of the Colour. So I think that, I just like that little bit of information. And there's loads of news, but I will stop there.
I think that's really fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I have some news to share also. As you know, how important it is for me, and I feel our audience, our guests, is that we learn to listen at an elevated level. And while Helena Chard is already a team member, she took the time to take the power of listening and become one of our elevated listener team members. Congratulations, Helena.
Thank you so much. And what a fabulous, entertaining, great course as well. Everyone
Thank
has
you.
to take the course.
I appreciate that. Of all the team members that we have, there are only 3 people who have not taken the course. 2 of them are here, and it's not Diane.
The 2 gentlemen.
The
Would
2
you believe
gentlemen.
it? Oh.
They were
Sorry, we
sleeping.
weren't listening.
Oh my goodness. I already gave Ian an earful when we were in Orlando, so I'm sure he'll be taking it soon, right?
No
Right?
comment.
Right, Roderick? I'm calling him Roderick.
Which one?
I started to switch off in Orlando when you started calling me Rodrigue all the time.
Then I called him Rodney.
Yeah, Rodney.
I like Rodney.
Again, congratulations, Helena. I'm so happy.
Yay!
Yes, congratulations,
So
Helena.
happy.
In all seriousness, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank you.
you. All right, time to go around and share something with our audience before we close out. Diann, Floyd, BOEHM, eager to share something. What is it?
Based on everything we talked about today, it's just a good reminder how we all are connected, and that to continue loving one another, because actually we all are brothers and sisters in this world. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, over to Roderick. Sorry, Ian.
Okay, I shall get my own back, Dr. JACALYN. The one thing that popped into my head when Helena was talking about Canadian horses being donated to the King for the coronation is one of the major donations that was made in the past in St James's Park in London, which is right next to Buckingham Palace, were pelicans. And apparently in the past, when ambassadors that had pelicans within their vicinity came to become ambassadors in London, they would bring a pelican with them as well. And so I wonder whether or not, because of the coronation, whether more countries may donate some of their pelicans to come into St James's Park in London. I forget how many there are now, but there's quite a, I think it's something like about 20 pelicans in London, and they all seem to be getting on very well with each other. But it'll be interesting to see whether the pelican population will increase.
Interesting. I love pelicans. They're so beautiful. Yeah.
That's what they're carrying at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Babies.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Diann. Helena, what about you?
I am going to finish on. I always feel it's anybody can negotiate anything. I think everything is achievable. And it's something that Sarah Ferguson said that I've been thinking about today. And she was, I can't remember who she was talking to, but she said in life, it's the 3 C's that really matter. And the 3 C's: communicate, compromise, and compassion. So it made me think, and I believe she said that for a reason, without having to say why. But I think it's for her family. Yeah, it's a message.
I love it.
I love that too. The 3 C's.
The 3
It's a good
C's.
share. Thank you.
Yeah.
And over to Simon.
Well, my saying for today is quite simply, if plan A doesn't work, just remember the alphabet has another 25 letters.
Delayed response.
You
I
are
love it.
so good.
That is good. Have you thought of doing stand-up comedy, Simon?
Really?
Sorry.
Stand-up comedy for you.
Stand on, right? No, definitely not.
Well, I'll share the fact that, I guess Diann didn't like that. I'll share the fact that I am so grateful that we have this team of people from all around the world, and people are reaching out and collaborating with one another. And I think that's what it's all about. Maybe you have an idea and somebody else has a way to facilitate it, or you have part of an idea and someone has the other part, and you come together. And I just want to keep encouraging people to reach out and connect and network and bring new ideas to life to help us all celebrate humanity and why we're here and finding our passion. So that's my share for today.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Lovely.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, our next show is coming up. It's I'm Spiritual But. So we look forward to that. And today we have 7 shows. So I will be getting a little R&R in between for 5 minutes here and there. So thank you all for being here. And again, thank you so much, Helena. It means the world to me that you took the course and that joined our team. And we'll be
You're more than
featuring
welcome.
you in one of our upcoming books. And I know that Simon is also going to be featured if he takes the course.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And again, I have nothing to say because you have to take the course and pick an animal character for our upcoming book, number 5. All right. Fantastic. We'll see everyone next week. Thanks for now. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Remember the time next week.
Yes. Yeah, we'll still be on this time until the following week. Yeah. All
Good.
right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.